Hello and welcome back to episode 72. On this episode, we have a special movie that we're going to be reviewing. We're trying to get this in right before the end of the year, and I'm sure all of you guys have gone out there to go see it. That is the new Star Wars movie, The Force Awakens. So we got a special episode. We got four of us on here today, and obviously Brian on here, and I also have Dave with me.
What's up, guys?
I have Paul with me.
I'm back.
Welcome him back. And then I also have Gian, and he
John.
is our, well, whatever way. I'm going to call him Gian. All right. He spells his name Gian, okay? So for all you Italians out there, you're going to say, okay, I know it's John.
You know what I call him? Star
friend.
Wars God. We have a bona fide expert on the podcast on Star Wars.
See,
This is a special episode.
We as Newbreed Films are stepping our game up and making sure that we have experts on the show. And John is our resident Star Wars expert. He is he is the guy to go to when you have to think about any of this stuff. So I'm gonna make him real nervous right now, but we will rely on you for things that we don't know in the world of Star Wars. So we might have questions for you.
I will try to be the best I can.
So he's on the show for the first time. So you guys give him a welcome, and we'll have fun. Yeah. So I got a couple facts I'll spit out at you real quick, and I'm sure you've caught this from the news. Opening weekend for Star Wars has obliterated the Jurassic Park record, which was held for this year, 2015. It was $208 million for Jurassic Park. Opening weekend officially now is $238 million for Star Wars. And overall, right now at this point, they're at $580 million globally. They're on course to beat Avatar. Which, did you really expect any different?
They're going to beat literally every record in everything.
Yeah.
So
that was already going to come. A cool other fact that I saw when I was looking up stats on it was it's the biggest single day opener of all time. And it was $120 million on Friday, which was their official opening day. So that's pretty impressive.
Do you know what their budget was?
Is cray.
I think it was $200 million was their budget.
Okay. And then how they had some ridiculous amount in pre-sales as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, normally the pre-sales for like other movies like Jurassic World and stuff were about 1 million in pre-sales, which were like phenomenal. Star Wars not only quote unquote broke the internet, had 6.5 million in pre-sales alone.
Oh, yeah, all the websites crashed.
Yeah, they literally broke the internet.
Yeah, take that, Kim Kardashian.
Take that, Kim.
Nobody likes you anyways.
All right, so obviously you guys know the format on here, and what we'll do is we'll give you our first overall opinions of the film, and then we'll let you know when we're going to get into spoilers. But we'll comment on what we see, what we liked, what was our most favorite, and then we'll give you our personal rating on the film. I think it's safe to say that we all really liked the movie, and it's hard to find somebody that hasn't right now. I think
it was okay.
Dave, you posted, I think, on the Facebook, it was 95% Rotten Tomatoes.
It was 95% Rotten Tomatoes, 8.7 IMDb, and Metacritic, which is like the hardest to win over, give it an 81%. If Metacritic gives you anything over 50%, it's like a damn near perfect movie. Metacritic is like hardcore.
Yeah. So, I guess, who wants to start with saying their overall opinion and thoughts of the film, without any spoilers?
Why don't you pick someone?
Paul, you're up.
Okay.
Volunteered.
So, for once in my entire life, I'm actually going to agree with with IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes and all that. I can't give this movie a perfect score. And I will admittedly say that there was so much for me to process after watching this movie yesterday. Yes, I went and saw it yesterday. It was a couple days late, but that's why we're doing this whole thing a few days late. It's my fault. I take responsibility. But when
humble Paul, I like that.
When I left the movie, not even when I left, when I watched the ending credits, there was so much to take in that I wasn't sure how I felt about that movie. I literally had to wait until I processed it overnight and when it hit me and I realized, I fucking liked that movie a lot. Pardon my French. You know, there was a few plot points in it that we will talk about later with the spoilers that, you know, it threw me through a loop. But overall, they nailed the feel of the original movies. Not the prequels, which I don't even have to say anything about the prequels. We all know for the most part.
That's a whole nother podcast.
Right. I overall, I'll give this a 9 out of 10.
Good stuff. Anybody else want to go?
I'll jump in.
All right.
Just to give you a heads up on the overall, Paul, you really need to see it twice.
Yeah, I'm going
back. The first time I saw it, it was Thursday at 10 o'clock, and other than just tears in my eyes because it was such a beautiful thing,
you got to go in a Wookiee suit.
I understood a lot more when I saw it in the IMAX on that Saturday because I wasn't so excited that I wasn't able to take it all in. So the second time you'll feel a little more understanding. But I'll be quick and simple. It was a great score. John Williams again delivers as I don't think he's ever failed anything. So there's that. The effects were good. It had a good amount of CGI, but it was done in not so much of your face. It was more
very fluent.
Yeah, more like a Jurassic Park, kind of like just a supplemental. And then obviously the practical effects.
Yeah, it wasn't the main driver, which was good.
Yeah. And on that whole thing, just to counteract your prequel stuff, Paul, I know it's another podcast, but that CGI stuff, and I'm sure I'll get flame for this, but the CGI stuff from then is, 10 years ago, which they were pioneering that stuff then. So now CGI is so much further that like two of the characters were mocaps or motion.
First Jurassic Park movie came out in '93. Just saying.
Truth be told, I'm probably gonna be the odd man out. I don't hate 1, 2, and 3 as much as the world. I think Jar Jar Binks was terrible. I think some of the CGI was terrible, but there's a lot of great aspects of it. Darth Maul. I say this like a million times on the podcast. He was freaking awesome. So much presence, screen presence. Liam Neeson is a Jedi. I'm a big Liam Neeson fan. I'm not even going to rant about those movies, but they were sucky, but they weren't the worst.
I really liked 1 with like the pod racing and like you said, Darth Maul. First episode 1. It was fun.
There's obviously problems in actually all 6 of the films that came out, and even the 7th one now. And this is coming from the quote unquote Star Wars official, person here. But
I think can you count the amount of Star Wars shirts that you own?
Every one of my shirts except for 1 is a Star Wars shirt.
There you go.
Every one of them. and the problem with now is that now Kohl's, Sears, JCPenney, it's everything Star Wars fever.
Everything.
So there's literally hundreds of T-shirts that now I have to buy, and I'm gonna have to sell a kidney or something to be able to afford them.
Go to Five Below. Star Wars cologne.
Just to finish up, it's got solid acting. The newcomer Daisy, who plays Rey, she's phenomenal at her role.
Yep.
She's phenomenal.
Adam, careful now. Adam Driver, I think that's his real name, Kylo. He did a good job. So those 3 main points, I would say. And if I gotta rate it, I would say 9.9 out of 10.
Oh.
And just that 0.1 is because it ended a little too soon, I feel.
We're gonna have some.
We'll get into
have some discussion shortly.
Yes, we will.
Okay, bring it.
All right, Dave, you go ahead.
I don't even know how I can talk about it without spoiling stuff, so I don't know if I want to go last, but we're gonna get into all that, right?
Yeah.
Because I have points that I don't like about the movie, but it's gonna spoil things. But anyway, a general
anything in the trailers for your game.
All right, so I'm just gonna, I guess, cut to the chase. Like for a regular action sci-fi, if you're not a Star Wars fan, I give it like a B. I think that's a fair grade. If you know nothing about Star Wars somehow, I don't know how that's possible, but someone out there probably never seen Star Wars. I don't know. For a Star Wars movie, I give it an A. I think it completely captured the Star Wars vibe more so than, this is going to sound weird, more so than 1, 2, and 3. And I know Lucas had more control over 1, 2, and 3. I don't even think Lucas wrote this one or was involved. But yeah, I give it an A for a Star Wars film. I enjoyed it. there was things that I didn't like about it, but I guess I'm gonna wait till we get into the spoiler section. And there's more things that I liked about it than didn't like. I didn't find it like a perfect Star Wars movie, but it was pretty good.
All right, so I guess that leaves me, right? So my personal opinions on the film is when I went in there and I sat down and I saw it, I was like, immediately once it started, you just had that feel, like that Star Wars feel, like I'm getting right into the movie. And I had like that giddy, smiley little boy face, you know, when they really started getting into it. And especially like, you know, when you get in the beginning of the movie, like it's just, they just start off right away, right into the story, which I'm sure that's pretty much the way the other Star Wars films go. Yeah. But I liked Adam Driver. I have comments to say about him. He was good. Harrison Ford, awesome. Like, he's back. He's back completely. I was so pumped with him. And
I'm shaking my head no.
You are shaking your head no. So we'll disagree on that after.
Harrison?
Yes. Daisy Ridley, she did a fantastic job. I think she's going to step into Princess Leia's role, you know, like that person that's in the movie, that female driver through the films. I think she's going to do a great job filling in for that. John Boyega, which plays the guy who plays the black stormtrooper that's in the trailer. I really liked him. We'll go into that.
Terrible.
You didn't like him, but I liked him.
Terrible. Wooden. Go ahead.
But overall, I loved the nostalgia in the film. We'll get into that stuff after. There's so many like little nods that they did. They paid a lot of time, a lot of fan service. Just like kind of Jurassic Park was, you know, like when you saw the Jurassic Park movie, you saw, no spoilers that I'm saying for that, but there's so many things that they did to appreciate for the fans, you know. And like you had said, I think you said, Dave, just a sci-fi film, I think anybody could walk in and watch it. Kind of like Guardians of the Galaxy was. Anybody can walk in and just watch it and appreciate it without really completely understanding what's going on, because it was just like a pretty good movie that way. So if I have to rate the film, I give it an A. I give it a 9.5. Is it the best movie I've seen this year? No. We'll get into that when we do an episode. I think Mad Max still holds it for me. So
I agree.
Mad Max fanboys.
But it's Star Wars fanboys.
Yeah.
Star Wars fanboy. So that's pretty much all I got to say, non-spoiler. Like I said, that pretty much covers it.
It's hard to talk about this movie right now and not do spoilers, so...
I have a couple other things I can say before the spoiler part.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't really matter.
Go for it, man.
Well, if you couldn't, well, yeah. So if you can tell from the ads and even what Brian was saying, Disney's on a strong female lead type of push, and it pretty much started with Frozen. I don't know if your fan base out there on the podcast world knows about Frozen, but
do you want to build a snowman?
Let it go, let it go. I'm not holding back anymore.
They almost parodied their own films with the whole, you know, you can't fall in love with someone in the first, you know, moments you meet them, which was, you know, 12 of Disney's older movies. So they really were pushing for that, which I can get a little more into with the spoilers. But so Rey clearly is the main, I would say the main leading role in this new trilogy. And they even had Captain Phasma, even though she's not in it that much, but so they're
I was just shaking my head because I got something to say about Captain Phasma and it's not good. I'm sorry, Gian, I'm not cutting you off.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I don't want to give too much away, but that's Disney's big push.
Let's get into it. Why are we holding ourselves back? Let's just let loose.
Spoilers. Right. From this point on, we are going to have spoilers because without them, this podcast will suck because we can only talk so much.
So you guys know.
All right. Can I? Go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
I was going to say, so you guys know that right now this is our personal opinions on the film. If you haven't checked out the film yet, you're living underneath a rock, go out and go see it. You can listen to the rest of the podcast. We're going to ruin it for you, the movie. So there's so many things that are just kind of like the other Star Wars films. I'll just give you that idea that there's things that are just going to completely ruin it for you if you listen to the rest of this. So Drop off now or stay with us if you want to get our personal opinion on it before you see it. And if you have seen the film, anything that we say going forward, you guys can hit us up on our Facebook page. Let us know what your personal opinions are going to be. Dave?
Okay, cool. All right, so the likes, I'm gonna run through these real quick, and if you guys remember what I said, if you have something to add to it, but the nostalgia and nods, the what you talked about, right? Freaking awesome, great fan film. It was awesome. The returning original cast members, that was like so amazing. It had an awesome Star Wars feel to it. Great job by J.J. Abrams. He also resurrected the Star Trek movies.
No lens flare in this movie.
Actually,
I knew he was going to do awesome.
There was 3, I counted.
Only 3, but out of compared to the 600 of the Star Trek.
Yeah, the Star Trek one day.
Another cool aspect was like showing like new capabilities of like the Force. When Kylo Ren stopped that blaster bolt in midair, I was like,
man.
what? I was like, the Force can do that? Like, I'm going to the dark side.
Especially, you that's within like 3 minutes of meeting him, you know? Like
that was ridiculous.
Yeah. That was
they had to establish badassery right off the bat.
Yeah. Right. Which you find out that he's a little bitch towards the end, but
okay. I will rebut that later on. So we'll come back to that. The bitch.
All right. Kylo Ren, this is kind of a gripe, I guess. He was badass, but he had them cheap walkie-talkie voice effects, like Play School. I don't know what's going on with that, but
see, I like that. I thought they did a good job with that because they didn't make it all cartoony and cheesy. Like it was his like voice just like kind of amplified through his helmet.
He was like a diet Vader, like Darth Vader with 0 calories. He's like skinnier, but he was cool. I like Kylo Ren.
A Vader Zero,
right? Yes, Vader Zero. Right. You didn't mention Oscar Isaac. Oscar Isaac was the best actor in this movie.
You know what I was afraid to do, though? I was afraid to talk about, like if you watch the first 10 minutes of the film, like I was afraid to like say that he's in the film completely. You know what I mean? Because, that part you don't find out until later that he actually came back and he survived, so.
To me, he was so natural and he fit into the Star Wars universe so well. Like he's always been in the movies and in the universe. He was an awesome character. Poe.
I like him. I just saw Ex Machina with him, and he was really good in Ex Machina. And
he's up and coming.
Sucker Punch. He was good in Sucker Punch.
He's Apocalypse in a new X-Men movie, which I will not watch. Another great point of the movie was Rey. I'm just gonna say she was good looking. That's relevant.
She's a good looking woman.
But with the new Disney push, she's good looking, but not overly sexy. Just want to throw it out there.
Right. Well, Leia wasn't sexy until
she was.
Until episode 6. She really wasn't sexy until episode 6. She was covered up.
She does not look good nowadays.
She was walking around with no bra on because there's no bras in space, and that's a fact. You can look it up. Yes. Like that's what they talked her into.
But she really, honestly, she didn't come out of her shell, until she was chilling there with, Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah, which is where you will ever see in Disney that will give you.
She was damn near naked in the older movies.
Right.
Princess Leia. I got 4 dislikes that I could think of. All right, Captain Phasma, completely underutilized, hyped up, and had no screen time. Just wiped out. Like, Captain Phasma, you suck.
She got put in the trash compactor.
Yeah, she'll probably come back though in the sequels.
It was more or less, from what I feel, not to cut you off.
Introduction.
This was more of an introduction. I think it would have played much bigger into her and the film in general if she was the one that was the stormtrooper that went up against Finn with the expandable whatever If that was her, cool. I think it would have been a much more establishing, oh crap, she's not only got a weapon, but she's going to beat the snot out of this guy.
That's a good point.
She kind of reminded me of Darth Maul, just like underutilized. Like, such a cool looking character, and having it be like a big ass woman from Game of Thrones. Her name is
6'3".
Gwendolyn something. I forgot her last name, but she's a big chick. Another major dislike.
Gwendolyn
Christie. John Boyega, the Black Stormtrooper, wooden acting to me. He sucked. Didn't like him.
Dude, I loved him, man. I was cracking up at him the whole time.
Wasn't feeling him.
Between him and Poe. That's probably some of the better cinema I've seen. The only problem I have with Finn, is he had some of the worst lines, like, droid please.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm talking about.
I didn't
overacted.
like the humor. That was one of my issues, was the humor
Dude.
in this. It's not in any other movie it would work fine, but it doesn't belong in this franchise. It brings it
so
down.
Is humor though. So
But not that
There was
style.
humor in the original,
but not that
dude.
style.
It was much more up in your face in this one, which I think is JJ's twist on it, because he has a lot of stuff that's like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but that
He likes
really
to throw
brought me
humor
out of
into
it.
Yeah.
And my other issue with him, and I actually agree with Dave on this, believe it or not, on his acting. I didn't think it was that great. And half the movie with him in it was like him stopping and staring, looking concerned, like directly at the camera.
It was overacted and
freaking
wooden.
shot every time. Just
You do realize that Luke Skywalker in the original one, that was pretty much 90% of his performance.
Yeah.
He looked off.
I know,
the-
but
he
we're
wasn't
talking about this movie.
when he wasn't whining, when Luke
Yeah.
Skywalker
Oh, yeah, he was
wasn't
a whiny
whining
little
in
bitch,
episode
but
4, he was
Yeah.
like aimlessly looking up over into the.
Power converters. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's definitely bad lines in all the films.
He was whiny. I'll give you that. But there's just something about this that just, I don't know. The character just it didn't stick for me.
Yeah, he either overacted or he was wooden. It was like weird, like, you know, the crazy facial expressions, like over the top, and then like it just, I don't know. I didn't like his acting.
I liked him. He was a good comedic relief. I think he was a good add-in. I think he plays off Ray very well. I think he played off Han Solo pretty well, and I like him. I want to keep seeing him. Plus, it's a cool. But think about the concept. All right, so forget John Boyega, but think about the concept. I think it's cool that they brought in Finn as a character. Can you agree with that? That they brought in a stormtrooper that stepped away from.
I don't agree with it.
It's not even just it's not even just a normal stormtrooper. If you notice, there's a couple things where Kylo was like, you know, you should have a clone army type of thing because your people are inept. So basically, these are like Matrix styled from birth, basically like the Jedi used to do, where they're trained, you know, like the Spartan program from Halo. They're trained as young kids. They don't know anything other than fighting, and that is what makes Finn even more of an
anomaly.
Yeah, because and even Captain Phasma said that, like, well, we're sending him back to reconditioning, which basically probably just means getting the crap beat out of him to get him back in line.
Right.
I don't know, like the writing for that character, like you have like these soldiers conditioned from children to be like without mercy, just like badass soldiers, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden he has a change of heart right in battle. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're conditioned from a kid.
True.
This is where the book
to be a warrior
actually adds a little bit more extra. And I know this is a movie review, so I won't really bring too much up into the book. But and I don't think it's really mentioned in the movie, but this was Finn's first.
Yeah, they said it in the movie. They said this was his first time out there.
Yeah, so he got out there and he's just seeing, you know, all this massacre basically, and then
he worked in sanitation before. He just cleaned up the Death Star.
His own friend gets blown up. That's the whole face mask thing, and then
So it was his first outing at 28 years old? Because he didn't look like he was 19. You would think if you're going to have a warrior like at 18, when they reach like just adulthood and they're in their physical prime, they'll put him out there to battle. So he's like, he's almost 30 and he has a change of heart in his first battle.
Imagine if you're a janitor for 14 years and you're led to believe that this thing that you're working for is the greatest thing in the world. It's here to save everybody. You go out there for the first time all riled up. Yeah, let's do this. And everyone is getting slaughtered. Defenseless people are getting slaughtered.
They're just lighting villages on fire.
All right.
Well, you're viewing it as a normal human. Like, okay, like if you want to, we're not talking like fiction now. This is like actual science. Like children, their brains develop. I don't know what age like your brain stops molding.
25.
Like it gets into like this like locked phase. I think it's like between like I think like at 2 years old. Like there's certain things that you learn or 4. Yeah. So like let's say like abused children. Like we're getting a little serious on this podcast. Like they grew up screwed up because these things happen to them and they traumatize them when their brain is still like in a molding phase, and then it locks that way and they carry this forever. So you telling me that you have these trained children to be like cold-hearted soldiers, and then he's like, oh, I believe in good. Like this bothers me, people dying. Like he's screwed up. He's a warrior.
No, I think it's called breaking. He broke.
But I think there's something different about him. I think First of all, how many stormtroopers do you know?
There is bad writing.
Maybe he has the Force with him.
That's what I was going to say. How many stormtroopers pick up a lightsaber?
If they do it, no. But if they throw him in there as like having the Force, I'm not happy with it. If they keep him as a stormtrooper that defected, I like that character. But if they have him as a stormtrooper who defected that becomes a Jedi, I'm not cool with it going down that path. But
there's always in all 6 of the movies, there's always Force sensitivity, and I'm not going to bring up the midichlorians, but I'm saying there's people out there that have a little bit or a lot or whatever. So there could be something that could play into that. And maybe Dave explains the overacting where he's just a screwed up little 4-year-old stuck in a 28-year-old body that's freaking out.
Yeah. I mean, but the Force, it goes both ways, you know, there's good and bad. So he was influenced by the Force to be good. He could have also got influenced to be like super evil at that moment. So I don't know. To me, it's just like, I can't criticize. I mean, it's a Hollywood script. You know, I'm not a Hollywood writer, but to me, it was like weird writing, like lazy, like, you know, but whatever.
Do you think?
I just got 2.
I don't know. You got 2 more points. One more point on that
2 more points.
Yeah, 1 more point on Finn. Do you think he's going to come back like robotic or like, because he looked like he got sliced like up the back of his spine by Kylo Ren at the end?
That's nothing a week in the back the tank won't fix.
Yeah. I think Kylo's going to come back.
He's going to come back. I bet you like Vader did.
More badass.
Yeah.
That,
2 points, and I'm done. Real quick. 1 good one and 1 bad. I forgot about this good one, and you mentioned it, Bri. Actually, I think all you guys did. The effects, awesome, top notch. They spared no expense, and what I liked about it the most, it was a blend of practical and CGI when needed.
Perfect.
If you notice, like a lot of the aliens were like guys in costumes and puppetry, like the old Star Wars movies, and they got it right. It's like, that's what we want to see. You don't have to change stuff, you know, for the new generation, like how Lucas did with 1, 2, and 3. Oh, let's make it all CGI because we can. Sometimes things are better left alone as they were. You know what I mean? So that's a good point. Major bad point, and I know there's an explanation for this. Kylo Ren gets injured, right? He gets shot with a blaster bolt, whatever. He's a little hurt. He's like hitting himself, getting angry or tapping into the Force. Okay, explain this to me. Rey got no saber training and no Force power training, and you're going to beat Kylo Ren in a saber battle. My ass. Now, hold on, I'm almost done.
This is about to get controversial right now.
Hold on. She may have training that she doesn't recollect, and maybe her brain was like Jedi wiped or whatever. Who knows? But that wasn't explained other than like a little flashback when she touched the saber, and you have to piece it together. But I call bull. Okay. Kylo Ren is a trained dude from Snoke, and then this chick that she doesn't even no Force training or saber training, and actually best Kylo Ren. Come on, man. Come on.
Okay.
John is
I put my gloves on. I put my gloves on.
Let's do this. So we'll hand it over to him.
Ding, ding.
Okay. We'll get to the theories that I have probably about 1 billion of. But in general, you have to look at that particular part of the fight. Kylo is injured. Kylo is not a Sith.
Can I say one thing, though? Can I interject?
Yeah.
But he's Sith-like.
They awkwardly played up on that whole injured part. Like, he kept hitting himself to let you know, like, hey, I'm injured. Like,
he was tapping into his anger.
I know, but well, I just thought that was cheesy. Like, okay, I'm hurt. I'm letting you know I'm hurt.
He was. I took it like he was tapping into like getting like amped up, like hitting himself and drawing pain, and like getting more angry.
Pain makes you angry. Angry makes you stronger. He's trying to be more. That's the thing. Kylo Ren is not even close to being a Sith. He's more or less like a boy version of Darth Maul. He's a tool that Snoke is using.
Bitchy temper tantrum.
And he's fighting mostly an inner turmoil between the light side and dark side. He wants to be more like his grandfather, who's Darth Vader, but he's not that good at it. So he's got that whole side to him. Now, as you can see when he ends up, can I stay killing his father? Can I say that? Yeah. We're in the spoiler. So
you say whatever you want.
When he ends up killing his father, you can tell that he's struggling before that. Then he gets shot because his mind. If any Jedi or Sith, if any other Jedi or Sith were standing on that bridge, they just killed someone, you're telling me they wouldn't be able to tell that a shot's coming at them? That's bullcrap. So his mindset to begin with
Especially
is
after he
not
stopped that blast.
Yeah,
in
but
the
he was
beginning of the movie.
distracted.
distracted by what? He's got the Force. He
Well, it
knows
was
it's something.
Chewie.
He just killed his
It was
dad.
Chewie. That's what.
Okay.
That was an
So
anger
that's what I'm
bolt.
saying.
And Chewie got gangsta on
Yeah,
him.
he did.
Like
I honestly,
that's an angry
just
Wookiee.
another
That's
side,
tough to deal
a
with.
little side bridge. I honestly wanted to see Chewie rip a stormtrooper's arms off. Just out of anger, he just runs up to one and just boom, both arms off, and everyone, I guarantee, would have cheered in the theater.
Chewie got Rambo right at that part.
So back to this. So Rey is. There's so many. You said so many things.
You
in
know
one
it's Luke's.
thing. You're
It's
killing me.
Luke's daughter. It's Luke's daughter.
I do, but answer me this and come back,
we'll
Gian.
go back.
Don't forget
We'll
what
go
you're gonna
back.
say.
We'll go to Rey. That would be a whole different topic on who she is.
But does Kylo Ren have training? Yes or no?
Yes.
Has Snoke trained him? Does Rey have any training? Yes or
We
no?
don't know.
No idea.
But okay, you don't know versus you do know for sure.
Luke
So that I got a problem with that.
Luke in the original trilogy picks up the training remote, which I don't know if you guys caught that little Easter egg when Finn's going to the box in the Millennium Falcon. He picks up the training remote.
Yeah.
So Luke had the blast shield down on his helmet, and he was deflecting bullets after a little bit of Obi-Wan teaching. He's already a full-grown man at that point, the same age as Rey, and he's deflecting blaster bolts, which is technically a harder thing to do. Now, you could argue that Rey fed into the dark side a little bit when fighting Kylo, but I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think the point of it is to prove that she is, by default, an amazing force-wielding person. Now, I think they technically got rid of the whole canon of the fact of anyone can use a lightsaber, because I don't think Finn is force sensitive, and he's using it basically like a baseball bat. So I think it's more or less Kylo is injured. He's not all there. He's not technically trying to hurt Rey, because as you can see, there's one part where he's like, let me train you in the Force, like all this. He's not trying to kill Rey. He's trying to actually do what everyone does in Star Wars with any type of Sith. Let's get someone underneath me and I'll train him up type of crap. So I don't think Rey bested him. I think Kylo wasn't at his best. Does that make sense?
I don't know, dude. I see your points, but I've just found it kind of lame, because like if she had training, she okay, like when she was trying to convince that stormtrooper to like free her and this and that, like it wasn't really working the first time around. So like you can piece together from that scene that she really doesn't have any training or any training that she remembers. So she's a complete noob, like a complete noob. And then the whole, what you just said about her being force sensitive, being like Luke's like offspring. Okay, I'm going to relate this to like mixed martial arts. Like that's the same as like having a guy that's physically gifted and very strong. That only gets you so far in mixed martial arts if you have no training. The guy who's trained will beat you nine times out of 10.
This is the Force.
This coming from a guy who's trained MMA for 8 years. I know what I'm talking about.
We'll say that. I agree with you, Dave. Mike Tyson's kid is going to have Mike Tyson's fists, But is he going to be able to? He's going to be able to use his fists as good as somebody that was trained just right off the street. Right.
No, you're going to get murdered.
This is the same argument as like the nature versus nurture stuff. If a chicken is running around on the ground and they see the shadow of a hawk, they know by instinct that they need to get out of the way. Now we're talking about the Force, which surrounds us, penetrates us, it's everywhere. If you're able to, Dave, we'll just say right off the bat, think about moving an object and it moves, it's going to happen. If you're stronger with that, and it's different than MMA.
She controlled Daniel.
Okay,
controlled Daniel Craig.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Then. So, if you're in tune with the Force, like, let's say you don't know how to bake a cake, and you're in tune with the Force. Are you going to automatically know how to bake a cake?
Don't use my baker.
Or do you have to? Or even a Jedi. Do they have to learn how to bake a cake, and then the Force will help them bake an awesome cake? So I don't buy. Hold on, Gian. I don't buy that just because she's Force sensitive, she has saber skills. I don't buy that. I don't buy that at all.
This is where it pays to be a Star Wars fan, where you've read books and everything, which Disney also just said the books don't really count anymore except for the newer ones. But force sensitivity is a natural thing. You can command the force. Now, the training that you receive, whether it's Sith, Jedi, or just in general, finally tunes the skill. So you're able to, we'll just say, if you get mad, you scream or something, you could be able to push someone back. It doesn't mean that you could then call upon that whenever you want to, per se. The only problem I have with what you're saying also is the whole mind trick thing. I wish it was more or less like he said something, or she's just sitting there and she's like, I wish you just, drop your weapon and leave the, room or something. And he says, what was that? And then it led up to it, as opposed to her just assuming that she has this ability. But I think that goes into what we're going to learn in episode 8 and 9, which this is a theory, which I'm not going to get into the second, but she has prior force training because of who her lineage is.
Okay, if that comes to light, it makes sense. But black and white, without overanalyzing, from the movie, you can clearly see that Kylo has training, and from the you can piece together that she doesn't. So black and white, without overanalyzing, it just does not make sense to me that she beat him in a saber duel and bested him. But he was injured. I give you that, and there could be more backstory.
This is also after he tried to manipulate her mind. And she fought back on that too, right, which he got so confused, and then ended up reading his mind. So she's got something there. So just remember that.
Paul, do you have anything on that battle?
I agree with John on this one. I definitely think. I think we just put it to bed. I think you finally kind of are understanding that. There was outside factors that were allowing that to work the way that it did.
But. Yeah, but the audience, it's not fair. This is all theory between us because we're piecing it together. But there was little clues in the movie that suggest that she had flashbacks when she touched the saber, but there's more clues in the movie showing how much of a noob she is compared to Kylo Ren. And black and white, when you look at it, he has saber training and force power training. And she was his equal or better than him towards the end. It just doesn't make sense.
My thing is I'm done that we're still so early with these characters that we don't know their backstories just yet. We only have seen glimpses of what they are. As far as we know, like you're saying, basically, is that she was a scavenger on what is it, Jakku?
Yeah.
Barely getting food portions, cooking on a little hot plate, and then all of a sudden BB-8 comes in and it's A New Hope all over again. Almost identically, by the way.
It's mirrored, but not identical.
Right. Not identical, but it's strikingly similar.
The best definition of this movie is a soft reboot with a sequential, what was the word I was looking for? Chronological sequential soft reboot. So it takes elements from episode 4 and kind of mixes them up like a reboot would, but then still uses the same chronological order and the same people from the earlier
it's the
one.
Same story further down the line with additional characters, basically.
But I'm all right, so let me throw in my 2 cents on the fight, and then let's really move on to this what we're talking about right now. My 2 cents on it, I'm half and half between both of you guys. I understand that probably we're going to find out that Rey has more force than we actually are aware of, so that's why she was able to do it. I do think
she has by default. That's a given.
No, I know.
Luke Skywalker's
that's not confirmed.
That's not confirmed. That's just what we're
okay, that's not confirmed, but okay, all right. So, but it's alluded to.
Yes.
It's alluded to, right?
The point is she's strong in the Force. We don't know who she is. It's
right.
just someone enough that...
But my thing is we're picking and choosing... Now... We're okay, but I'm sorry. We're picking and choosing what we want to believe for the movie because it's alluded she has Force training, but you can also go the other way. So, you know what I mean? I don't know.
If you look at the bare minimum, she is a scavenger from a desert planet and has Force capabilities, and they're strong enough to combat someone that we think is trained enough.
Luke Skywalker, and that reminds me of Anakin Skywalker, and
I'm just saying it's not confirmed.
All right, so my other saying on the fight, and then let's move on, is Finn should have been punked out a lot faster. There's no.
He was toying with him.
I know. There's like he shouldn't have held his own for that long. I don't think.
I'll agree with that.
But see, look, from the fight when I was watching, from my perspective, it looked like Ren was like not in any kind of danger. Like he was like toying with him, like from my perspective. But when he fought Ray, it was a fight.
Well, just to add on to that is exactly what I'm trying to say, Dave, is that at first Kylo doesn't really hold Ray as even an equal. He's arrogant. He thinks that he knows he's the grandson of Darth Vader, and now this little backwater chick is, throwing the stuff. So just like with Finn, he's just toying with her. And then eventually she's like, oh crap, and that's what you even see where, like I said, he's got her at the very end of that cliff and he's like, I could train you in the Force. And he's not trying to kill her. And then that's when she goes the whole, closes her eyes. She thinks about the Force, and that's when she really fights back. So up until that moment, she's kind of just defensive, if you will.
I kind of see your point, but like I do think that because remember, like she made reference, she said that like she feels fear. So like he definitely like felt her as a threat when he was trying to like torture her and like mess with her brain with the Force. Like she picked that up from him. So like obviously like he viewed her maybe not as an equal, but like as a legitimate like threat, something to fear. You don't fear something you're not that is of no threat to you. You know what I'm saying? Like,
agreed.
But anyway.
All right, so let's just agree to disagree on the final fight scene, and we'll move topics. What do you guys want to go into?
Han Solo.
You want to go into that, or you want to talk about Rey's origins?
Let's do Rey's origins first.
Okay.
We'll get back to it. We'll save the Han Solo death just like they do in the movie, when you least expect it, but then totally expect it, and it's going to come, and you're like, come on, don't let it happen. But I just want to touch on the Rey's like dream sequence foresight type of thing when she touches the lightsaber. I don't know if you guys heard the stuff that was kind of said throughout the whole thing. Yoda has something that's in there he says like one of his quotes that he said, its energy surrounds us and binds us, and that's said throughout that. Obi-Wan says at the very end, Rey, these are your first steps. And then Luke says no, like he does when Vader says that I'm your father. So I think all those things kind of add up, obviously. And then what we're also seeing is the very beginning is the prison hallway from the Death Star. And then that opens up into Luke that's sitting, looks like he's kind of mournful, touching R2 with his robotic hand. And then it shows Rey with a bunch of dead bodies all around him. He kills, I'm going to forget her name. She's a toy, and she was only in the dream sequence. Oh, man. Wow. I'm failing. Anyways.
I like Knights of Ren, I think, is going to be a really cool concept going forward.
Yeah, so, and that's a whole nother thing that Snoke even knows about, so I don't think it's necessarily a bunch of Jedi. I think it's just a bunch of mercenaries. But, yeah, so that whole dream sequence, and I have a bunch of theories on that whole thing also.
I got a question for you guys a little bit later.
Okay.
So what was the other topic?
All right, so Rey, I'm on the fence on whether or not she's Luke Skywalker's daughter. I think that's going to be too much of a giveaway. I did read up that maybe she might be Obi-Wan Kenobi's offspring, or that she might be a whole different kind of Jedi offspring from somebody else that might even be a new character in the atmosphere of just somebody that was a Jedi that she was an offspring.
There's no way it's Obi-Wan's, because he would have known about her.
On that, there's a possibility. Here's one of the theories, that Obi-Wan has some sort of relations, and he has a daughter, and his daughter marries Luke Skywalker. So the Rey is Luke Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi's daughter's offspring.
Right.
What?
She has a British accent.
Based on what? Because of the accent?
No, based on the fact of she's got a fighting style that's like Obi-Wan's, which could have just been a fan service thing. Like, the problem with these movies is that you can pick apart everything, and it might just be circumstantial.
Mm-hmm.
Or it could be, hey, we told you this, in episode 7, and you guys, why is it a reveal now type of thing? So
Can I just say one thing? You know you're a Star Wars fan when you could break down the saber fighting style. Because to me, she was a swinging a saber. Like, I'm not on that level. I just gotta admit that.
yeah.
That's skills right there. But yeah, I mean, I think she is Luke's daughter. I mean, but that's just me though.
I think they put too many breadcrumbs in place for it not to be. I mean, I think that's the end all of what it's going to be.
But didn't they make reference to that though? Didn't she say something about finding my father or?
I don't remember that
I could have
part.
swore. I don't remember for sure. But
I just thought, I don't know. I think that the reaction of him at the end when he sees her wasn't that of who are you and how did you find me? It was like, it's you.
I disagree. I think it was more or less, you finally have come to me. So that could still apply to.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. I don't think it was like, who are you? It was definitely more of a like, finally, like, you're here.
Yeah,
his face just looked stoic to me. I didn't pick up any of that. He just kind of seemed miserable looking and old.
Because he knows what happened to Han.
You have to also understand, and I don't know why they did the way they did it, but R2 was in like a coma type of state.
He was defragged.
So maybe it was like R2's supposed to, wake up when times are really bad type of thing, and that's when you can tell Rey where I'm at type of thing. So like he's out in the middle of nowhere. He doesn't know what's necessarily going on, and now this person comes up. So it's like a realization of, shit's about to hit the fan. I need you now type of thing.
Which is a real island, by the way. If you Google map that island, it is a real place, and it looks awesome because you can see the stairways that go all the way up to where the monk temple is. It's off of Ireland.
Yeah, apparently they closed those steps off because somebody fell.
Oh, I'm sure, but I forget what it's called. It's called it starts with an S, something with an S it's an island off Ireland.
Some weird styrofoam head that I don't even want to think about what he was doing with that, or it's like a female styrofoam head. I don't know what's going on.
Thank you for keeping us.
Why do you have that, Paul?
Paul's got a lot of props.
I do. I have so many. No, this is.
He's got a Kylo Ren lightsaber as well.
This is. It's kind of there.
It's more like a broadsword.
Yeah.
Technically, this lightsaber.
It was designed as a sword, not so much a lightsaber. And it's made out of cardboard.
I was going to say.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, you might think I'm a dork, but I have a bunch of other friends who are Star Wars fans. Yeah. And so we have a group chat on our iPhones. And I wrote a good long thing, and I don't know if you want me to read it. It's not too long, but maybe like 2 minutes, where I think Kylo is from and Rey. So I don't know. Maybe we can do that later if you want me to read it now.
Maybe we should mute our phones.
I don't know. That's not me. Who was it?
It wasn't me.
Not me.
It was.
Wasn't me.
My microphone was muted, so
it wasn't me. What's that? What's that song? Shaggy. It wasn't me.
I don't know the name of it.
Shaggy was
you caught me on the sofa. It wasn't me.
It might have been my computer, actually.
Remember that claymation commercial where he was like, it was like, I think for soda or something. I don't remember. It was a Shaggy song. You guys don't remember? Claymation.
No.
All right, go ahead. Just read it fast. Hold on. I found the island. It's Skellig Michael Island, which is located 6 miles off the coast of Ireland. It was a closed sanctuary for monks. Google Maps it. It's really cool.
Makes sense.
All right.
It has been confirmed that, and I don't remember the exact age, but Kylo's supposed to be about 28, 29, and Rey's supposed to be early 20s, like 19, 20. So this is what I'm thinking. Kylo was showing dark side tendencies when he was younger, and his parents sent him to go train with his uncle Luke at his Jedi Academy. Luke tries his best to bring him back to the light by teaching him that Anakin also had issues with the dark side, but was ultimately redeemed. Kylo became disgusted as that because he idolized Vader's power and Vader was seduced to become weak. He's viewing it from the other side. So Kylo runs off in search of anything that can make him stronger. He falls into league with Snoke, who stokes the dark side flame. Kylo grows up more, becomes the master of a merciless group of Force-sensitive dark side-ish known as the Knights of Ren. And he goes back to the academy where Luke's wife is with the rest of the new Jedi Padawan/Knights. Luke, meanwhile, is bringing his daughter to a planet that he knows his daughter can survive because it's a desert world where all the Skywalkers' DNA seems like they're from. Meanwhile, Ren slaughters everyone at the academy when his real target was Luke, his uncle that betrayed his grandfather to make him turn away from the dark side. Luke gets back after it's all over, and he's sitting at a fire with the only thing with him, which is R2, who's trying to console him. He then decides it's better for everyone if he just goes into hiding to prevent even more death and destruction. He leaves Rey with the watchful eyes of an old friend of the family who's sitting on the same planet as her, which I think it all ties in. That guy had the last fragment of the map, just coincidentally. He knew where Kylo's family was from. He knew where Kylo was from and, that he wasn't this monster. That's pretty much all he said to Kylo, which pretty much just pissed him off even more. So there's that.
Rey was hot. He was really good looking. That's all I got. I'm not okay. I'm sorry.
All right, let me throw these out there. These are guest appearances, which I'm sure you guys have probably read and everything like that, of different people that have been in the film. Did you guys know that Simon Pegg was in the film?
He was the junkyard guy.
He was the junkyard guy, and also the guy that said in the dream sequence for Rey to come with him.
Yep. Daniel Craig. He was the stormtrooper that was Jedi mind tricked by Rey. You can actually, if you go back and listen to it, you can actually hear him. At first you don't really. When he says, I'm going to leave my gun at the door, or drop my gun at the door, then it sounds like him, but the regular part doesn't. Bill Hader from Saturday Night Live. I like him. He's
funny.
He's the voice of BB-8, and they just take his voice and electronically turned into
he was one of 3 people, and I don't remember the other 2, but
BB-8 was cool,
JJ
man.
did some, didn't he?
There was a lot of I think it was about 9 people that are attributed to doing some sort of sounds for BB-8.
And Dave, I don't know if you caught this.
Dave Filoni?
The Asian guys that were on Han Solo's, they wanted his money. Did you catch who those guys were? Those 2 guys that were standing there.
The dude from Mortal Kombat.
Nope.
I'm just messing.
Mad Dog from the Raid.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, he looks familiar now that you mention that. Yep. He just looked cleaned up. Because in the Raid, he looked dirty and all terrible looking.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting. Dude, BB-8, right? That was the name of the droid?
Yeah.
Okay. I got to give it to them. They made a cool, memorable droid.
They did.
Because it's hard to duplicate R2-D2. Like, his charisma for, like, a thing that doesn't even talk, like, just beeps and everything. But BB-8 had personality, and he was like a little hero. He was
How about
cool,
that thumbs up with a lighter?
Oh, dude, I love that.
Oh, that was cool.
That lighter out. Yeah.
You know what killed me when he thought Poe died, and his head bowed down.
Mm-hmm.
I got all choked up for that. I was like, it's this poor robot is like, just
cool design too.
Which one did you like more, R2-D2 or BB-8?
I'm
R2-D2, man.
I actually like BB-8 better.
all day.
I like BB-8 better.
What? Dude, the legend of R2-D2? Like, do you know what this droid has been through and what he's done?
R2-D2 is the only
Gian, take it away.
R2-D2 is the only reason why the rebellion even did anything. He literally, and I think it could be just because Lucas wanted it in there, he was in every movie, which is he's one of maybe 4 characters that are, and he literally had a hand, or I guess a leg, I don't even know what you'd call it, in every part. He's the only droid that hasn't had his memory wiped. Poor C-3PO, like 50, 60 times. That guy doesn't remember anything.
That dude's been dismembered so much. But he knows a million more languages now.
That's true. That's true. And he has a new red arm.
Yep. Which you only would know about if you read the comic book that it's not even out yet.
Yeah, I feel like that was a small little, it just is an excuse to say, hey, I'm C-3PO. It's like, you may not recognize me because of the red arm.
Which I thought was actually funny. I didn't care about the red arm. I just thought it was hilarious how he said that.
Yeah. I thought it was kind of funny because, you just in your head you create whatever scenario that he must have went through. It was kind of comical because C-3PO always gets into some dumb crap, but Han Solo, I saw that coming. I saw it happening. What do you guys think about his death?
I don't think there was some people surprised, which when I watched it the first time, like you could hear gasps. I'm like I could see it coming, but I think it's because I'm seeing it from a cinematic point of view, where the first part of the trilogy needs a strong
It had
reason.
to happen. It had to happen.
They need someone to move forward.
But with Han, though, dude, that freaking...
He's about to die anyway. He's like 90.
made me hate that movie. I'm not even kidding
you. You have to understand, and you can see in Harrison Ford's tweets that he said...
They're rolling the dice on Mark Hamill, man. They're rolling the dice on him to whether or not he's going to make the next 3 episodes, or 2 episodes.
He looks a lot better than Harrison Ford.
He's getting beat up, too,
Go ahead, Gian.
John.
Harrison Ford always said, and this is going way back, that he wanted Han Solo to die in the original trilogies.
Right.
He hated the character. He thought he was boring and all that other stuff. So that's why Harrison Ford really liked that JJ killed him off.
That's why he was so happy about doing this film, because he knew it was going to finally... Because he really was. He was, like, at all the cons and stuff, he was, like, for the first time ever, I guess, like, an actual happy person going to these cons. And people were kind of surprised by that, and I guess that explains it.
I saw it a mile away, because just from a cinematic point of view, the trailers, 90% of them from the original cast was all Han Solo. Then the fact that they played up a lot of the Han Solo stuff. I knew.
Not to cut you off, Gian, but like you could kind of piece that together that possibly he's going to die, because that's how they play on the heartstrings. They like put a character in your face, and it happens on TV shows. Like when shows focus on a character for like a good while, you know they're gonna die soon. Mm-hmm. But they could also just have been promoting that they got Harrison Ford back.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, and that's gonna bring in fans like right off the bat. But like, what? They got like Harrison Ford back to play Han Solo? That's a big deal, you know. So
I was waiting for Chewie to pull him out of the Falcon at the end of the movie. I was waiting, like when they showed up and Leia was waiting. I was waiting for him to just come out carrying Han, and he didn't. And that's when I was like, "Oh, he's dead. He's not coming back from this one."
You had disagreed, Dave, when I said initially that Han Solo was back and Harrison Ford was back, and you didn't think so, or you're shaking your head. And was it towards that you didn't like his performance in the film, or you didn't?
Yeah. I think it's, don't get me wrong, I'm a big Harrison Ford fan. Indiana Jones is probably like one of my favorite movie characters of all time. I think he's a legend. He's a badass for his age. It's cool. It's so awesome they got him back, but he just looks frail. He looks old as hell. He looks frail. It's not believable anymore, and it was time for him to go. I think they got him as like a Star Wars, centerpiece or trophy. Like, we got him back. Here's Han Solo.
You didn't buy him as Han in this movie?
Nope.
I think they did a
like
good
an old
job,
man to me.
but that was what he was supposed to be. He played the role of an old man, and he didn't they didn't hide that. I thought that they played on that very well.
Old man's in a walker. No, like this dude was like running around kicking ass.
I would have rather had that than what Sylvester Stallone is still taking
with Rambo.
He's a 30-year-old that still can do all this stuff. He's an old dude, just take it. So that's what Han Solo did. He's tired of it. You could see that he looked tired, and it's probably because he's really old, but he's been a smuggler all these years. He lost his ship, like he lost his son. He lost his wife, whoever she was. Like, he looked down and out. And then even when Leia said, like, bring our son home, like, he's looking at her like, you know that's probably not going to happen. And that's why I think one of the worst parts, but in a good way, was when Han obviously gets stabbed right through, and then he does right before he falls off, he does the little face touch where it's like, at that moment, I don't know if I'm just reading too much into it, like, I can feel him thinking, like, all the mistakes he's made, all the points that led up to this, where, that's it. Like, my boy, like, that's all I've got. You know what I mean? It was just, it was pretty good. And I disagree with your old man.
I disagree with you too.
Are you kidding me right now, dude? So, all right. So, looking at Harrison Ford, old as hell, you would want to see him. Let's say he didn't die. Like, you'd be fine with that. Him come out in the next one,
He doesn't have to be an
kicking ass,
action
and
hero.
He never stepped up he just like shot the laser a couple times, and he didn't do anything outside of his physical.
That was one of his main qualities, that he's there for himself, but then ultimately he'll come in for his friends. That's for the episode 4.
I think he stepped back right into Han Solo's shoes, and that charisma and that wittiness. I think he did it.
I just think to get rid of him, they could have done it more, maybe gradually, like had him just fade to black. Don't just have him get stabbed and then tossed off a fucking bridge.
But we're talking about it, so mission accomplished by them.
Yeah, because it's
a shocking scene.
When I left the movie, that was one thing that made me say, I don't think I like this movie. Initially, like most of it, I was like, I'm loving this. That happened, and it brought me down for the rest of the movie.
Right.
Well, let me ask you this, though, Paul. Like, all right, so when they were on the scaffold, whatever, the little bridge, and Han was talking to Kylo, like, okay, think about this. What if he would have, like, talked them down and turned them good at that point? Think of how boring the rest of the movie would have been.
I didn't think
you know what I mean? It's such a great
but
twist.
I thought there would be more of a struggle there, because there's even that scene where he's sitting there talking about how he's still seeing flashes of the light. He's still seeing goodness, and I know he
made him
wants to get
completely
rid
evil.
of it.
But that's what makes it. That's what makes it that much bad, because you're thinking, first off, Snoke said, your biggest problem or your biggest issue is going to be your father,
right?
And that's the whole daddy issues in the Skywalker family to begin with. And then you get to that point where you're like, oh, Han's about to die, but then he's like, take off your mask. And then it's okay, so they get closer, and he's like, I have to do something, but I don't think I'm strong. Like, so you're like, oh, maybe he's not going to die. But then it's like, oh wait, maybe he is going to die. Then he hands him the lightsaber. You're like, oh, okay, well, what way is this movie going? And then stabbed.
Yeah, Kristen looks at me and she goes, "Do you trust him?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think." And then she goes, "I don't trust that motherfucker." No. She's like,
"Yeah." And I know he was in a.
And 2 seconds later, he stabbed Han, and I was like,
a little bit of expanded universe type stuff that they kind of got rid of. Ben is actually one of the names of the kids in one of the books.
Right, but him and Rey were supposed to be brother and sister, right? And they were
in the book, yeah.
Obi-Wan Kenobi's name is Ben.
Yeah, so in the books, one of the children, Han Solo's children, is named Ben.
And Jaina.
Yeah. Well, there's Jason and Jaina, and then there's Ben. Jason and Jaina were twins. Well, the books don't matter anymore, basically, in Disney's eyes. So all that was kind of like a fan service there, where it's like, hey, we kind of know you guys exist over the last 30 years of all these thousands of books. So that was a nice little thing. And then there's the whole theory about Kylo not necessarily being a bad guy, and he's actually. I won't get into it though.
Can I ask you guys to this?
No, it's all right. It's big.
Going off topic to another one, and let me answer this first. The supreme evil leader Snoke guy, that he looks like Schmeagol or Voldemort,
yes.
From but like a Sith Lord or whatever he is. I was going to ask you guys, who do you think he is? And I'm going to answer first. I'm going to say Jar Jar Binks.
Oh God,
you think that's Jar Jar Binks coming back?
No, I don't. I think you know who I really think it is, and they mentioned him in I don't know what episode. I don't know if it was 1 or 2, but Darth Plagueis that can like resurrect himself. He was Palpatine's Lord, that trained him.
Yeah, Palpatine.
That's who I think it is.
Sidious would be his Sith name, Darth Sidious, and he was explaining episode 2 the story or the legend of Darth Plagueis the Wise. And there's actually a book out, again, Disney kind of just trumped that. So there's a book out, and it's about Darth Plagueis basically brought Palpatine to power, and they were going to rule as, the Sith Lords. They're going to rule the Empire. But then what you see in episode 2, Sidious is like, well, and then I killed him in his sleep type of thing. So I could see that.
But he can control death, though.
That's what I mean. So I think
he can resurrect
definitely play the whole, Plagueis wouldn't teach Sidious how to basically live forever. So
What if it's Sidious?
I don't think it's.
Imagine.
I think that's too much. That's too much of the original stuff. I could see Plagueis because they never really did much with him in movies, and I could see it being Plagueis saying, "I can live forever," but not necessarily as that same body. He could assume another body. You know how like good Force users can go into the Force, like Yoda did, like Force and stuff.
What if
you guys are getting crazy detail right now? I'm like damn lost.
What if Jabba didn't die and he got it together and like started running and lost weight, and that's why he looks like all wrinkly and he like and maybe he's Jabba. Maybe Jabba back.
Maybe Jabba joined CrossFit and now he's like
there you go.
Been eating that almond butter.
Jabba speaks.
What if it's Boba Fett?
I thought this was a professional.
Yeah, Paul, I don't know where this went, man. You guys invited me here, and now all of a sudden it's like talking to two little kids.
What happens when we get on? If we're on for a long time, it always turns into some wacky, loopy thing.
I have two main.
It makes for great podcasting. In other words,
it does. I have two main things that I'd like to hear all your guys' answers on. So 2 questions, and maybe we don't have to come back to them right now, but you can think about them. I'd like for all of you to think about what your favorite scene in the film is, and then what your...
I don't even have to think about that.
Yeah, and then what your thoughts are for you think that's going to happen in episode 8. So we can come back to that if you want, but those are 2 questions that I kind of wanted to get your guys' thoughts and opinions on.
Can I talk about my second least favorite thing?
Yeah, you can talk about a thing you don't like.
Why did they wait so long for us to see Luke Skywalker in this freaking movie?
Budgetary concerns.
No, the ironic part is that the only thing Hamill really has done since Star Wars is voice acting, and he did 0 lines in this movie.
I know.
It's hilarious.
I know.
But go ahead. Were you going to say something, Gian?
I was going to go off, but go ahead,
Paul.
No, I was going to answer what Paul said.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, dude, like, okay, when they show Luke Skywalker, dude, I don't know about the theater you went to. Everybody was clapping. Everybody was hyped up.
I went to a pretty shitty theater, I'm not going to lie.
Oh, dude, like, everybody was clapping, and I had a little moment.
When
I was like, woo, I had a nerd moment, and, but I kind of like it because it kept you in suspense, because the whole time you're watching the movie, you're waiting for Luke. And it was like a nice little icing on the cake, like, it's Luke Skywalker. Like, he turns around.
There would always be something happening. I'm like, oh, he's coming. He's definitely going to be here.
And even you can't even blame the trailer, because you saw maybe it's like, was that even his hand? I don't know.
Yeah.
So there was
a trailer where you hear his voice.
Yes, there was a voiceover part, and that was a redone of, the Force is strong in my family. My father has it, I have it, now you have it. So that kind of goes into the whole, we don't know who's he's talking to type of thing. But it kind of goes into what Brian's second question was, what you think the episode 8 is going to have.
Yeah.
I think in general, and I know I'm skipping all over the place, Luke is going to be the main focal thing in episode 8. I think ultimately he's the one that's going to either end up dying in episode 8, and then maybe like Force Ghost stuff in episode 9. But the point is they're trying to do a lot of baton passing. So Han's down. I think Leia's not going to make it much longer, or there's just kind of.
I don't think she's in real life going to make it much longer, dude. She is rough.
You have to also understand that the Republic, whatever was left of the Republic or the beginning of the Republic, pretty much got blasted to bits.
Yeah, all at the same time.
The only real thing that's around is going to be the Resistance. So Leia might become the new Chancellor type of thing. I don't know, but I think Luke's going to have a lot more into 8, maybe the beginning of 9, until he ultimately does the whole sacrifice thing.
I think they're going to start out the movie with her on the island, kind of like that same scene from Empire Strikes Back, where kind of like Yoda is teaching her all that kind of stuff. They're going to keep that same feel and that same vibe. And then she's going to be ready, and then they're going to leave and go fight whoever they need to fight,
I definitely think that Luke Skywalker is going to die within the next 2 movies. It's like coming full circle. He's going to be the Obi-Wan. Mm-hmm. He's going to be like Yoda. He's going to die. He's like old. He's the Jedi Master, and that's just how it goes.
At least if Luke dies, there will be Jedi ghosts. You can't do that with Han because he's not strong with the Force.
Paul,
What?
Han's dead.
No, I know.
I'm the biggest Star Wars fan out of all of us.
No.
I'm okay with it.
But what I'm saying, I know.
Oh, he means like seeing him on screen
we
again,
won't
like
see
on
him.
any
So
level.
like with Luke, like it'd be disappointing if he dies, but we know we'll see him again because he's a Jedi. Therefore, he can still have a ghost.
Well, we'll get more Han stuff in the standalone film coming out in 2019.
Yeah, but it's not Harrison.
Tom Hardy, Han Solo, please.
No,
I
don't back that.
You're crazy. He's gritty.
No.
He got the look and the acting chops.
Chris Pratt.
Who could play Han Solo?
He doesn't have that swag.
Chris Pratt? You can't have Chris Pratt. Chris Pratt already took up a Harrison Ford role, Indiana Jones. That's weird. You can't have him play two Harrison Ford roles.
I bet
Why?
there's a newbie out there.
Because he's gonna be like a Harrison Ford acting parasite. He's just gonna like take all his old
and
roles.
as long as he can do it, he's good.
They're looking at over 2,500 possible candidates.
No, they're probably gonna have a newer person, not that
no
new,
name,
not like
no name.
I don't know if they'll go that new.
No, like somebody that's been like they got.
It's gonna be somebody young, Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah. I'm gonna ask you guys a question. I don't know how you guys feel, but do you feel you've ever gotten enough of Darth Vader? I've always felt like he's such a badass on screen and like his legend is out there, but we've never seen everything he's capable of, and it's like it just sucks. And he's dead, I know that, but what do you guys feel like? There's like a cloning theme that goes on in Star Wars. What would you guys feel about Vader coming back in some shape or form as a clone?
Ooh, a Vader clone. That's a cool
I don't
concept.
Again, just on cinematic reasons alone, I don't think they'll bring Vader back. I think the most they're doing is what they're doing. And I don't know if you guys caught this, when Kylo put down his mask, it was in a bunch of ashes. I'm thinking that's Vader's ashes. He's got Vader's old helmet that's all burnt to shit. Mm-hmm. He's got the ashes. I think he's a Vader fanboy. But I don't think we're going to see any like Plagueis or maybe Plagueis, not Palpatine. I think they're done and done.
But do you guys agree with that? Like each one of you, I'll go down the line. Like Gian, do you feel like you've seen enough of Vader on screen, or you always felt you wanted to see more of what he can do, and we never really got that?
Yeah, in general, Episode 4 had 14 minutes of Darth Vader. Like he wasn't. And I think that's what made, same thing with Boba Fett. Why has he got such a big following? Just the mysterious part behind it made it seem like when you see him, you know shit's about to go down, which usually it did. Some Imperial officer, which was on his side, by the way, was getting choked out. So it adds to the element, and that's where the books and stuff really play into it, because then you can see, you know, the backstory, the thoughts, the processes and stuff. Again, Disney screwed it up, but obviously you could see more Vader, but go ahead.
Brian, have you felt like you've seen enough like, did you ever had that want to like see more? Because I'll tell you like answer, but like I was so upset with Episode 3 because the marketing for that, I thought I was going to see a lot of Darth Vader with like updated effects kicking ass, and he only came out in the last segment like, no, like, you know what I mean?
I think that I could see could expand the world. I think they could expand the world, like you're talking about with the Han Solo film. I think they could do an independent Darth Vader film, because if you think about it, there's so much different, so much time spans in between 4, 5, and 6, and even 3 to 4. There's a huge time span. So I think it'd be cool if they did an original film or a solo film talking about just following Darth Vader. As is Rogue One, which is the one that's coming out in 2016, is set between 3 and 4. So I could easily see them.
I would be down with that.
Doing a between 3 and 4 where Vader's just going around finding all the Jedi and just destroying them. Right. Yeah. I think it would add a lot more to it. So it could happen.
I don't know. I think all the best villains in movies have the least amount of screen time possible. I feel like the storyline with Vader was told the way that I wouldn't care to see any more of them. I'm okay with how that whole thing went down. I don't know, man. I just not intrigued enough anymore to keep on wanting to know more about him. With the good guys, I want to know where the story goes. I want to know what other good shit they're going to be doing. With Vader, it's
I don't
the
want to
same
know more
thing.
about
He's
him.
choking people out without touching them. He's building Death Stars that are going to get blown up by a freaking X-Wing. And it is what it is.
Which, on that
I just want
note,
to see
at
him
least they
kicking
had
ass.
people on the inside that helped out. It wasn't just a
Yeah,
lucky
this
shot.
one
So it's a little
required
different.
a little bit more.
But look at some of the greatest villains, like in cinematic history, like T-1000. They showed a lot of T-1000. Jaws had a lot of screen time. The Shark,
T-1000
you know what I
doesn't
mean?
count. T-1000 was
Agent
multiple
Smith.
different forms.
I don't know, man. I've always like felt like
Even Agent Smith didn't have that much screen time.
Didn't.
He had a couple
Everybody-
he
monologues.
was like in all three movies.
Everybody just
I'm
looked
talking
like
about the first
Dude,
one. I'm talking
the
about
second movie like mostly focused on Smith with the multiplying crap and.
But let's
I
go.
was talking about
But like
the original.
yeah, but with the Star Wars, it's three movies.
Let's go to
So, like,
non-human.
I'm talking about.
Let's talk about things like the Jurassic Park, the original. Not a whole lot of T-Rex in that movie, but he'd be considered like the villain in the movie, right? Right? Godzilla.
Raptors.
How long
Raptors
before you
more
actually
so.
see Godzilla?
That was a gripe of the movie. That sucked.
I thought that was
Godzilla
perfect. I thought it was the
2015.
right amount.
Not
The
enough
problem-
Godzilla, dude.
The problem is
That's my
guys
opinion, though.
adding too much to a character dilutes it. It's better to keep things more mysterious. That way, your whole imagination, you get amped up because you don't know what's going to happen, as
The
opposed
worst
to
part of
which
any
kind of
horror
stuff
movie
we've seen.
is when you finally see the monster.
When you see episode 1, 2, and 3, you now realize that he's an angry, angsty boy that has psychological issues that turned him into, because of love and whatever, into this beast of a Darth Vader.
See, but in episode 3, I really feel like they marketed it where you're going to see Vader showcased in that with like updated effects. And I feel like a lot of people were upset. Like, cause I left the theater like we see him get in a suit and he like crushes a room. Like, what the hell? Like, this is the opportunity to see Darth Vader with CGI present day. They dropped the ball there. Like, that's my opinion. I don't know. You guys got anything else on
I like how we went to Vader and
Force?
completely stopped talking about episode 7.
So we got to get back to our favorite scenes, though, right?
Yeah.
Before we end this.
Let me get into my favorite scene, and then we'll go favorite scene of the whole movie. All right, you guys might have this one. My absolute favorite scene is when Rey and Finn are escaping on Jakku,
Of course.
and they all of a sudden go to grab another spaceship, and
It's
they
a
say,
piece
"No,
of
I'm not
junk."
going to grab that. I'm not going to grab that piece of junk." And it's a Millennium Falcon, and they make that whole escape scene, that whole dogfight scene, was awesome. They were going back and forth. They kind of had that same feel where he's bouncing around, you know, kind of like Chewbacca did. That same good feel to it, and I loved like that whole flip to keep the cannon like angled so that she could shoot the fighter. So it's like so
Can I
awesome.
say one thing on that?
Yeah, that's it. That's my my favorite scene.
Just in general, and it's kind of nitpicking. The only problem I have with that scene, like the whole Millennium Falcon and that whole fight, is that it's in atmosphere where spaceships don't really have in other like in the rest of the Star Wars movies, don't really have the maneuverability that they do in space. If you think about it fourth dimensionally, so I don't know. It's a little stretch that she'd be able to do that much aerial acrobatics, if you will.
She
But
felt
they got
the
that
force.
technology.
Felt the force, man.
I'm just saying. Obviously, I loved it, but
That Star Wars
I
technology.
just wanted to interject that small little.
She was making space bread from like whatever, the little
That was actually
plastic
the coolest
chips.
special effects in the whole thing.
That stuff looked gross. Like, I wouldn't even eat that if I was dying of hunger. It was like a green muffin.
The portion,
like
I thought it looked good.
moldy
Once
muffin.
it cooked, I was like, yeah, that's
What?
I'd eat it. I
It was
was
disgusting.
I just want to
looking, dude.
also say that the movie theater I was at serves beer. So I had a couple of drinks.
What was that?
The movie theater that I was at
Oh.
serves beer. So I had a
Okay.
couple while I was there.
No wonder you were confused.
Yeah. It's only
What
Can
are
I-
your guys'
can I,
favorite scenes?
Can I mention my favorite scenes?
Nope.
Okay, I don't know if it's like my favorite scene, but I thought when the stormtrooper busted out like that nunchuck stick bow staff kind of electric weapon and he was battling Finn. That was cool. That was a cool raw fight scene. I like the scene that you're talking about, Brian, with the Millennium Falcon when he did that trick flip and shot. And I thought the scenes with Poe flying and being a badass in the X-Wing what had me on the edge of my seat. He was a badass pilot. And Poe, I don't know if you guys picked up on this, but I find Poe to be a mixture of Luke Skywalker and Han Solo. He's like both to me. Like a blend. Like he's an awesome pilot.
But he's got that
like Luke,
that
and then he got that solo.
Yeah, he's got that sarcasm.
That adventurous Han Solo feel. But anyway, I really like those scenes. There's a lot of movie I like. A lot about the movie I like.
Jean?
Oh, okay. Now I'm French. Yeah, just to add those two, obviously the ones that you guys said are good. I really liked the dream sequence, like that whole Force thing. There was a lot of information in there. The whole leading up to it, that whole like she had issues, or she's like she doesn't want to, she doesn't want to be a part of it, but she wants to be a part of it. And then that whole sequence, you see so much of like backstory, but not enough to even tell you what's going on. And then right after it ends, and like I think that's some of her best acting, where she legit looks like scared beyond belief. Like I shouldn't have gone in there. Like what was that? Like just I felt like it wasn't even acting at that point, that she was just legitimately scared. So I think that was good, other than the ones that you guys just mentioned.
So mine is definitely where they first showed the Falcon. But then, to add to that, when they introduce Han and Chewie back into the movie, I can't deny it brought a tear to my eye to see that. When Han opens up the door, and because I honestly believe that they were being picked up by
First Order.
By the First Order. I was going to say the Imperials, but yeah, First Order. And when the door opened and it was them, I got all choked up. But aside from those moments, the TIE fighter scene, when they steal the TIE fighter, awesome scene. So, but anyways, that's it for me. That's all I can really elaborate on.
All right. So as far as Star Wars, I think all of us, we can probably sit here and talk for like the next 2 or 3 hours on this topic, and I think we can just continue to discuss about what's going to happen in Episode 8, and we can keep kind of overanalyzing the movie. I recommend anybody that's there now hasn't seen the movie to go see the movie. Go see it again, because I think I need to check it out again to go see kind of more of the detail of it. And overall, I think we all gave great ratings. It was all an A or above a 9, and we barely had any gripes. When we usually do a movie review, it's kind of about 50-50 on most things, where we had more things to say. But I think with this movie, we had way more positives than we did negatives. So I think that Star Wars is one of my top 5 movies. We're going to be doing an episode coming up pretty soon with our top films of 2015. I definitely just made it in the ranking for that. And that's about all I have to say about it. You guys want to finish out with anything on commenting on Star Wars, or
just happy to be back?
Ray was hot.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, and I'll come back whenever. And if anyone has anything to say about Star Wars stuff, say it in Facebook, and I'll definitely respond to it.
Yeah, you got anywhere that you want people to contact you on?
Yeah, you could, just go through the Facebook account here, and then, I'll talk to people through that. It'll probably be easier.
All right. So, you guys can put your comments on the Facebook page, Newbreed Film Reviews, and let us know what you think about it. Send us messages. Tell Dave that he's wrong about the final battle scene, and he's not smiling right now. I don't think he found that funny.
But you guys know I'm right. You guys know I'm right about Ray, though.
All right.
We all agree on that. 10 out of 10.
Yeah. And hit us up. We also have Gmail, so hit us up at Newbreed Film Reviews 2014. 2014 is when we started this, huh? Yeah. So we're 15 going into 16 right now. That's pretty cool.
Also on Twitter, Newbreed Film Review.
Paul, you can man
Newbreed Film. Newbreed Film.
Newbreed Film.
Sorry. Someone's got to tend to their baby. I can hear a baby crying.
That is my son, crying right now because he wants to get on the podcast, and I told him he couldn't get on for this. Told him he didn't see the new episode yet. So
what a baby!
I know he's crying.
Plus, he can't really talk, so there's
yeah.
that.
Yeah. Well, he talks better than like Jabba did, or Jar Jar. Either one. All right, so we'll catch you guys on the next episode. I don't know what we're coming back to. I'm probably going to try to watch The Good Dinosaur coming up pretty soon. I know that Dave will not watch that movie. It's a Pixar movie. And
I'm going to see Hunger Games Friday.
All right, so we'll do some solo reviews, and then hopefully we'll get back on a group review pretty soon. All right, we'll catch you guys. Thank you for subscribing, and as John said, let the force be with you.
Ray was hot. See you guys.